Sales are easy. It's making the call that's hard. Hi, my name is Dave Gallegos. I've spent the last 25 years in the mortgage industry and a lifetime in sales. In this show, I'll bring that experience, expertise, and the experts I've met to you with actionable advice to improve your sales. It's not magic. You just make the call. Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Gallegos. This is with Zenith Home Loans. This is Make the Call, my podcast that is designed to educate and motivate and help salespeople become more proficient at the job of. And you make the call refers to the fact that we've got to be as productive as we got to be if we want to be in sales. So make that call, right? So this week we're going to talk about a subject that I find really fascinating. The first time it was introduced to me, and it's because I think all of us, when we get into sales, my motivation to be a salesperson was I didn't want there to be a lid on my income. I didn't want someone to tell me this is how much you're going to make and that's it. I was willing to risk not making anything so that I could have the upside of making as much as I possibly could. So that was my focus and that was my goal. And I used to think about this all the time when I was younger. My first job sacking groceries at King Soopers here in Denver, $2.88 an hour in 1976. And I just remember thinking, I'm trading an hour for $2.88 an hour every day. And I was, high school kid, so $2.88. It was a good job. Like that was considered a good job. But I just knew that I wasn't going to achieve the goals I wanted to achieve, making $2.88 an hour. And so, that's why I gravitated to his career in sales, because I wanted to have that upside. And that's the point of sales is to, you can make as much as you want to make. How hard do you want to work? You're going to be able to produce that income. I think it was at a Todd Duncan conference that I first heard this idea of what's your rate? In other words, not your interest rate. We're in the mortgage space. That's common. But what is your rate of pay? Like, how much are you worth? What's your value, right? And so when I say what's your rate, what I mean is what's your hourly rate. And we went through this exercise. We're going to do it here. We went through this exercise where you took the income that you wanted to earn and then you created an hourly rate for that income. So for instance, and we're going to use some round numbers here. We're not going to get real technical. If you want to make 100 grand a year, you're working about 2,000 hours. It's actually, if you think about it, there's 2,080 hours in a 40-hour work week, 52 weeks a year, but nobody works all 52 weeks. I mean, that'd be rare. There's 10 holidays a year, so you're not going to work 10 of those days. So there's 10 business days off the calendar. And then, so now you're down to 50 weeks, right? And then if you take a couple of weeks off, they're down to 48 weeks. But we'll just use simple math. And let's say it's 50 weeks, 100 grand a year divided by 50 weeks is $50 an hour, right? At 50 weeks a year, 40 hours a week is 2,000 hours. If you divide that by 100, you're going to be at $50 an hour. If it's $150,000, you're going to be making $75 an hour. And if it's $200,000 a year, then it's going to be $200 an hour. So really simple. We'll keep the math basic. You're not going to ever we'll just keep it there. So what the purpose of the exercise was for you to determine the work that you do and the value that you bring to that hour. Are you worth the money that you want to make? In other words, if you want to make $200,000 a year, is the work that you did the last 60 minutes of your life worth $100? Would somebody give you $100 for that work? And would you pay yourself $100 to do the work that you just did for the last hour, right? And if you do it every day, you're like, okay, well, if I want to make 200 grand a year, it's $100 an hour. Every day, I'm worth $800. Every week, I'm worth $4,000. $800 times 5 days a week, I'm worth $4,000. And would you ask yourself that question, like, if you want to make a $200,000 a year income, is the work I did for the last 5 business days of my life worth $4,000? In other words, would you have paid somebody $4,000 to do that work? Or would you have paid them a lot less? And then therein lies the secret to whether or not you're bringing all the value to the job that you're doing that will result in you being able to earn that much income. And for fun, it's always fun to figure out if you're making 200 grand, if you want to make 200 grand a year and it's $200 an hour on a 40 hour a week schedule, if you divide the $200 by 60 minutes, your hourly rate, your minute rate is $3.33. And if you multiply that times 15, every 15 minutes, you're worth $50, right? So $50 every 15 minutes. And so look at the work that you just did for the last 15 minutes and ask yourself, would I pay somebody $50 to do what I did worth $50 that someone would have given me $50? This is why it's a really interesting thought process to put yourself through, because you have to start thinking about what you do. And in sales, and we've talked about this many times, in sales, the most dollar productive work that you can do is prospecting for new business and being either face-to-face or voice-to-voice, so in person with people or on the phone with somebody or on a Zoom call, face-to-face, voice-to-voice, with somebody who either needs a mortgage or is somebody who could need a mortgage in the future, or is somebody who can refer you to one of those types of people, somebody who needs a mortgage now or somebody who needs a mortgage in the future. That's the most dollar productive activity that you have. Building a strategy around, putting a financing option together, helping people devise the best strategy for their particular situation. That's where, if you're not an order taker loan officer, if you're not a headset jockey, and you're actually somebody who is focused on bringing as much value to their clients' lives as we do in this business, in this platform, especially at our company here at Zenith Home Loans, then your advice has to be worth that much money, right? Then if that's what you want to make, then that's what your advice needs to be worth. The part that most people miss is that there are all these tasks and functions that you do every day that are just worth a lot more than the $200 an hour. And let me explain. So even if you were making $200,000 a year, working 50 weeks, 40 hours a week, even if you were making that, not everything that you do every hour of the day is worth that $200. And in fact, I would argue, given how much time you spend face-to-face or voice-to-voice with somebody who needs a mortgage now or needs a mortgage in the future, or someone who can refer you to one of those kinds of people, that's actually much more valuable than $200 an hour. And here's how I know that. Here's how you know that's true. This is where the leveraging of your skills and time comes into play. Nobody does that work for a straight 8-hour period in a day, right? And you're still able to pull out $200,000. So what you have to look at is, what is the other activities that you're doing that don't produce those results? They aren't spent face-to-face or voice-to-voice with someone who could need a mortgage or refer you to somebody. Then you're clearly making more money per hour when you are face-to-face and voice-to-voice than you think that you are, because the rest of the time is spent if you're doing busy paperwork, if you're doing follow-up work, if you're running errands for yourself, if you're answering emails that someone else could answer for you, if you're not on the phone, if you're not having those conversations, if you're not in relationship mode, then that work that you're doing is worth much, much more. And there's the secret is in there, the leverage secret is inside that, what I just described. The leverage secret is, how do you figure out a way to only do that work, only work on face-to-face, voice-to-voice with people who are in need of your services, or now or in the future, and people who can refer you to people who are in need of your services now or in the future. If you could spend 8 hours a day doing that, your income would be far, far greater than $200,000. That's the challenge that we all have. The other part of this that people miss is that you are doing so many tasks and functions every single day in your business that are worth far less than your hourly rate. And for me, when I started to extrapolate this out, I started to figure out really fast that, and it used to drive my wife crazy when I first figured it out, but I was like, here's something that I hate doing. So if you hate doing something at home or at work, but you feel like you have to do it because nobody else is going to do it, that's a clue that you shouldn't be doing that work, and that you should hire somebody to do that work for you, because of what your hourly rate will be if you're doing work that you love doing and the value that you bring to it. Because if you're doing something that you hate doing, you're not going to be good at it, and you're wasting your time. Life's too short I've always said this, life's too short to have a job you don't like. Life's too short to do a job you don't want to do, because we're all going to die someday. And I don't want to have spent any of my time doing things I don't want to do. If I'm doing that, then it's time to move on. So what I figured out is I hate yard work, everything about yard work. I just am not built for this. It's just not in my DNA, which makes my wife crazy. She loves to do yard work. She loves to make the yard look great. And I love her making the yard look great because I'm the one who gets to enjoy what a great looking yard we have. But I just am not, I don't have the patience for it. And I just feel like I'm out of my element. So I'm not good at it. I don't enjoy it. I used to hate cutting the lawn. And as soon as I figured out this stuff about like, I'm worth so much more doing my business job than I am doing yard work, I hired someone to cut the lawn, and I never cut my lawn again. So when my kids were young, I used to have my kids cut the lawn. And then when I got a little bit older, I started cutting it because they weren't around. And once they moved out and moved on, and I was cutting the lawn, I was like going, yeah, I'm not going to cut the lawn anymore. And I would go to work on Saturday because I love work. Work isn't work for me. Work is something that I really enjoy. Used to drive my wife crazy, but she knows I was right. And so we laugh about that today. And here's the leverage part too. I don't know how much we pay a guy to cut our lawn today. We have a much bigger yard than when I first figured this out. But when I first started doing this, I think I was paying a guy like $25 to cut my lawn a week, $25 a week in the summer in Denver. It wasn't a lot of money. $20, $25 wasn't a big yard. And I thought that was such a bargain to only pay $25, and I can go in, because if I do another loan and I get the commission on another loan, because I go in on Saturday and I make a few phone calls and I talk to a few of my clients and I get another loan, I could pay for like the whole summer's worth of lawn work, right? Like, so that was an easy thing to figure out. And it's important for you to figure out the same things, because you've got to figure out ways. If we're in sales and we know that our highest and best use of our time is prospecting activity, face-to-face, voice-to-voice, strategizing, working with clients, working with partners, then anything else we do that isn't that is costing us money. And it's really important. Like if I would have spent time cutting the lawn, that I could have paid somebody, let's say I could cut my lawn in an hour. I probably could do that. It wouldn't look very good because that's all the other stuff. It's not just the lawn cutting. It's the picking up the grass. It's the trash bags. It's dragging the freaking, oh God, I hate it. And then I always remember green stained tennis shoes from the lawn clippings. When I figured out that the $25 is all I had to pay for that, what I was losing if I could pay somebody $25, but I chose to cut the lawn, I needed to take the $25 and subtract it, take $200 minus $25 and realize that I saved $25 cutting my own lawn, but I lost $175. If I could have spent that hour doing the thing that I get paid to do that produces the most income, I'm losing $175 an hour. This is the part that most salespeople miss. When you're doing work that is far below your average hourly rate work, and you're not delegating that to other people so that they're doing it the way that it needs to be done, then I can promise you that you are costing yourself a fortune. Just do the math on that. $200,000 a year minus my $25 an hour to have somebody cut my lawn. I'm losing $175 cutting my own lawn. Even though I feel like I'm saving $25, I'm actually losing $175. It's important for you to grasp this concept because there's all kinds of tasks in your day that you're doing that don't have anything to do with face-to-face, voice-to-voice with clients that are with the opportunity to get you more business. And so you have to put this into your thinking. This is a game-changing conversation that I'm having with you. As soon as you figure this out, your life will change dramatically. Now, the next step in the process is figuring out how to be a good leader and a good delegator if you're going to build a team, and you're going to figure out what the activities are. You got to start tracking all those activities. But first, you have to grasp the concept, because once you grasp the concept, everything's better after that. I can't tell you what a difference this has made in my life personally and professionally. I've always made a lot more money as soon as I figured that out. Like, I'm spending my time on the wrong things. Don't spend your time doing the wrong things. Spend time focused on the things that are going to produce the biggest result. And that's how you're going to become wealthy as a salesperson. That's it for today. That's the important thing to think about, is what's your rate. The quote of the week is that greatness isn't the mastery of everything, but it's in the vital few things. Those vital few things for me is face-to-face, voice-to-voice with clients and referral partners. And that's where you're going to make the most money. And that's what you got to be really conscious of. So keep that in mind. This has been Make the Call, episode number 32. The title is What's Your Rate? Figure that out and you'll be a lot better off. Thanks for listening, everybody. Again, my name is Dave Gallegos. This is Zenith Home Loans. Makes the Calls to the podcast, episode 32. Tell your friends. Please like it, give me a rating, and give me your feedback. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you listening.
Thank you for listening to Make the Call with Dave Gallegos. Brought to you by Zenith Home Loans. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the show anywhere you listen to podcasts and share the show with a friend or colleague who would also find value.